everyone, I'm John Timmerman.
I'm Lindsay Dillon.
And welcome to the third week of the show that we still don't have a name for. But we're working on it. And we had a few people submit their ideas last week. And that was very helpful. And I can't even get out of it. And I'm going to move this a little closer.
I was going to say, you should probably move it a little closer.
Here we go.
People can see us. Hey.
Perfect. And we'd like you to meet two very special members of our family here.
Yeah.
This is Jackson. He's a pit bull greyhound mix that I rescued about 3 years ago now, I think. And he's a pretty lazy mood right now because we went for a walk. And then we have another one here.
This is Jovi, who I must have dropped some food in my pants or something. She's a Morkie, half Maltese, half Yorkie, 100% princess.
Mm-hmm. So we felt like if we're going to be real with this show, you should meet two of the people that, people. They're people. They are people. I mean, really, they pretty much run this house.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, if you're first time watching the show is a first look at what it takes to start a business as a couple, right?
Yeah.
And we noticed there wasn't very much out there on the internet that really gave kind of a step-by-step process in starting a company, let alone when you're trying to go into business with either a friend or a family member or somebody like that. So we figured, why not try? So we are starting a jean company that ultimately will evolve into some other ideas that we have. You can watch the previous episodes to see what we've been up to thus far. But today's episode, we're going to keep pretty concise. And we learned some things this week that we think are really, really important, especially when trying to found a company or start a company with somebody that you see every single day and that you're in a relationship with, whether it is a family member, a spouse, a friend. There's an interesting dynamic with that, right? It's you never leave the office and not see the person, right? So you have to live with this person. You want to make sure it's fun. You want to make sure it works, and that hopefully the business doesn't, affect your relationship in a negative way. So we have 3 things that we want to give as suggestions to you that we're doing, and we think it's very, very important.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first thing that we did was we talked this week about kind of separating and communicating about tasks, so that way the effort that we put in to these tasks, to this company, to kind of exploring some of these ideas, we're not kind of duplicating work, and we're clearly communicating about the things that we're working on, so that way we're being the most efficient with our time, with our effort, and our focus. We both have full-time jobs. I would say very full-time jobs. Neither job is a 40-hour-a-week job. So in order to maximize, our efforts and the time that we spend working on this, we wanted to be clear about that with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So that division of tasks, not only important for our own sanity, but the efficiency of actually making sure, stuff gets done also. The second thing was to make sure that we're still spending time together that's not with other people and not necessarily business related, right? As Lindsay said, we are both, we have full-time jobs. I own another company. Lindsay's in a supervisor position at her company, so they're very demanding jobs. And so outside of that, if we're spending time on trying to build this company, we still need to make sure we're setting aside time for ourselves. And if we don't necessarily plan on it ahead of time, it might not get done. So we've set aside Thursdays as date night, and I'm sure we'll probably end up talking a little bit about the company here and there, but at least it's just us. We can plan a night out or something together, and rely on that, as our kind of recharge period.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance between everything with work, and then there's all the life stuff like laundry and grocery shopping and all of that. Dogs, right? Very demanding dogs. And then there's the things that we do for fun, like we spend a lot of time with friends and family, which is wonderful. But then also to remember that you have a relationship, just the two of you, outside of all of that other stuff, and to not just think that it's just going to work just because you happen to be passing each other in the same room.
Right.
To really create it to be quality kind of time. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, what was the third thing? I can't even remember what the third thing was. Communication. Oh yeah, that little thing.
We're gonna start making a just a pronged list. Keep us focused.
So the third thing is the communication portion, right? And so making sure that, because we're also going to be business partners, right? There's typically a different dynamic. In my company, I have a different dynamic because none of the people that work for me or work with me are family members. None of the people that work for you or that work with you are family members, right? So we need to make sure that there's constant communication to ensure that we're on the same page. We understand what our business partner / significant other are thinking, what their critiques are, what their objections are. I need to know what Lindsay's frustrations are, things like that, in order to make sure that we're not, butting heads all the time. And so one of the things we understood is that I do have a background in starting businesses, and I understand the process and what goes into that, both time constraints or time resources, as well as monetary resources, as well as kind of the timeline of things, whereas this is Lindsay's first time diving into this type of business startup. And so realizing that makes the communication very important to make sure she understands what expectations I have, I understand what expectations she has, and that we're just basically understanding of each other and where each other are in order to try to make this as smooth as possible. Yeah. So that's it. That's it for this weekend's episode. Sorry last weekend's was so long, but we're trying to make these a little bit short and a little bit more impactful for you, so that you get an idea of not only what this process looks like, but also you get to learn a little bit more about us and what we're doing specifically with the company, in hopes that you'll jump on board and help us kind of grow this thing together. So
why don't you finish with the question?
The question
we're going to leave them for the week.
Absolutely. So, question of the week. Last week was, what do we call this show? And that still stands because we still are not quite sure what we're going to call this show. We have a few ideas that are good. But the question this week is, does environmental or society, the impact of, let me rephrase this here. Does the impact of a product on society or the environment influence your purchase decisions? Right? So basically, when you're out shopping for anything, whether it's food products or clothing or pet products, does making them, organic or environmentally friendly, are you conscious of that or not so much? And I realize everybody out there is now going to think, and they're not going to want to answer, no, I don't care about the environment, right? Nobody's going to want to answer that. So at the very least, if you could answer what types of things you really pay attention to, right, versus things that aren't quite as important for you, to buy something that is either organic or environmentally friendly. So just answer what types of things you really are conscious about and that influence your purchase decisions. Yeah. That's it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye.
Say bye.